Quick question for you. What is the number one most common thing that adults with lower back pain have in common? The answer is weak glutes. If you're an adult over 40 who's dealing with what we call uncomplicated lower back pain, I can almost guarantee you that you have some sort of weakness in your glutes that's contributing to your pain. And therefore, one of the best things you can do is build strong glutes. And so in this video, I will show you the number one exercise that I use in my clinic. It doesn't matter if it's your facets or your discs. This exercise will help fix your lower back pain. I'll show you how to perform it, common mistakes, and then progressions so that you can continually challenge yourself to build strong glutes to support your lower back. Let's go ahead and get started. Using exercise to help fix lower back pain, or really any joint pain in general, it's important that you're picking exercises that are not only effective at targeting the glutes, but they're also safe, meaning it limits impact that goes through the spine itself to decrease the risk of aggravating your lower back pain, which is the opposite effect of what we want. And that's why the number one exercise I use to fix lower back pain is the glute bridge. Not only is it effective at targeting the glutes, but it's safe and it's very easy to regress if it's a little too much to begin, and progress so you can continually challenge yourself to build even stronger and stronger glutes. So let's go ahead and show you how to perform the glute bridge. The glute bridge is a pretty easy exercise to perform. To start, you lay on your back. You will have your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, just about hip width apart. Your arms can just be out at about a 45-degree from your body here. And all you're going to do is press through your feet to lift those hips up in the air and come back down. And that's the glute bridge. A lot of times with my clients, we'll do a self-check where I'll have them tap their glutes and it should feel nice and contracted. So you can tell that that work is happening in the glutes and come back down. So let's go ahead and show you a few of the common mistakes that people make when performing this exercise. There's really not a whole lot of mistakes that you can make while performing the glute bridge, which is part of the reason that I like it. The main mistake that people have is with their foot placement, how far out and how close their feet are. So a lot of times I hear when we do that glute bridge that I feel it more in my hamstrings than my glutes. And if that's the case for you, that is probably because your feet are too far out. When we place our feet too far out and press up, it gets more of your hamstrings. And remember, we're targeting our glutes. So all you would need to do is walk those feet back in and find that middle ground. The other thing that sometimes people say is they feel it more in their quads. And that's the opposite problem, where your feet are too close to your hips. And then when you press up into that glute bridge, you feel a pull along the front of your quads. So again, all you need to do is find that nice middle ground. Again, most of this is just trial and error, but what I like to say with my clients is you want, when you're pressing up in this top position, for your shins to be nice and perpendicular to the ground, and try to find that middle position there and come back down. But other than that, there's not too much that can go wrong with the glute bridge. All right, so if you've been performing the glute bridge for a while, you're starting to feel strong, you're starting to feel confident, you can add some progressions to this exercise so that you can continually build strength in those glute muscles. One of my favorite is called the butterfly bridge. To perform this one, you need a little 8-inch circular mini band. We're going to put it around our feet, right above the knees, and from there, we'll get into that glute bridge position, just arms out at 45. Make sure that you pull your knees out so that band isn't pulling them together. So again, I'm maintaining that hip width apart. I'm pressing up, but now I'm holding this position up, and I'm going to do 10 butterflies, which is bringing my knees out. I'm bringing my knees out and back in, out and back in. And the main thing that I want to pay attention to when I do this butterfly bridge is that I'm keeping those hips up. So I really feel it in my glutes. And as I add those butterflies, you start to feel it in your glute med a little bit, but you'll have a tendency to want to drop those hips and lose that tension and do the butterflies here. So really make sure you're pressing through those feet, maintaining the top of the position as you do those butterflies. Do 10, come back down, give yourself a little bit of a rest, and then come back up, hit that top position, and do 10 more butterflies. That's a butterfly bridge. So again, if you've been doing body weight glute bridges for a while, they might be starting to feel a little bit too easy. So we want to add some resistance to our glute bridge. And there's a couple ways to do that. The first way is what I call a banded glute bridge. So we use these rubber resistance bands. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it on the floor, just make a figure 8, then take my fingers in the middle of those 2 8s to make a smaller circle, kind of pull it apart so it's 2 even circles. From there, I will put the band on the bottom of my feet, pull it around the knees. So again, now it's right on my thighs here. And from there, I'm going to perform that same glute bridge where I'm pressing up and down. So again, this is just a great way to add resistance to the glute bridge, but you perform it the exact same way. And if you want to add even more resistance, if you have access to it, you can use a kettlebell or a dumbbell. And this is a kettlebell glute bridge. And to perform, I'm just going to hold that glute bridge, place it right on my pubic bone, so that bone right in the front of your hip there. And then again, I'm just holding this weight right there as I press up and come down. So again, just a really easy way to add resistance to this glute bridge so that you can continue to build strength in your glutes in a safe and effective manner. Another easy way to progress the glute bridge is with an exercise called the hip thrust. For this one, you'll need a bench or a box that you're going to place your back on. And again, it's okay to just rest your arms on the box here. I don't want to put weight on my elbows, but I'm just using it for a little bit of balance. From there, same thing. I start with my feet flat on the floor, knees bent, and then all I'm going to do is press through those feet to come up into the hip thrust and back down. And so may not look that difficult, but you'll definitely notice the difference between this and the glute bridge, and that it really targets the glutes. And just like the glute bridge, you can make the hip thrust even more challenging by adding weight to this exercise. So again, you're holding it on the hips, coming up and back down, pressing up and come back down, and you'll really start to. Another great way to progress the glute bridge that doesn't require a lot of different bands or weights is with single leg variations. So let's start with kind of the transition into a single leg glute bridge with an exercise called the glute bridge barge. So to perform this exercise, I'm starting in that glute bridge position. I'm going to come up, pressing through 2 feet, but then what I'm going to do is just lift my left foot off the ground, try to hold it for a second or two, come back down, and lift the right foot. So again, what you're paying attention to is when you lift that foot, you're able to maintain that hip extension. So I don't let my hip drop when I lift that foot. And also try to keep my trunk nice and in line so I don't turn out this way. So again, for the glute bridge march, you come up with 2, lift one foot, hold it for a second or two, lift the other, hold it for a second or two, then come back down with 2, back up with 2, and you can go ahead and repeat that process. That is the glute bridge march. So now we'll move into the single leg glute bridge, which honestly I think is one of the hardest variations, more so than a lot of the weighted variations. So to perform this exercise, we're on our back, same glute bridge position, but this time I'm starting with one leg up. So I just like to straighten one leg out in front, and then I'm pressing up with my right leg and come back down. So again, this forces just one side to do all the work to get you into that hip extension, which is really beneficial again at strengthening those glutes, but also if there's any side to side imbalances, maybe you've had surgery on one leg or an injury on your leg, one a long time ago, a lot of times there's this imbalance. And so forcing the leg to work individually will force that weaker leg to work just as hard as your strength leg, making it a great option to help strengthen your glutes for less lower back pain. So there you have it. The number one exercise to fix lower back pain in adults is the glute bridge. Just a reminder, the reason that this is such a good option for most uncomplicated lower back pain is it effectively targets that glute without putting any stress through the spine itself, which is going to help you build strength without stressing your joints so that you can actually fix this lower back pain. So that's all I got for you today. Again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. If you like the content that I'm putting out, hit subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for being here.